The drama, the absolute drama. Look at all this. I mean, at least online, the reaction to Thomas Tuchel's first England squad has been absolutely hysterical, is probably one of the ways to put it. I mean, is this squad that bad? Is it really that bad? It's got such a negative reaction online. I mean, I, for one, would be absolutely delighted if Thomas Tuchel turned out to be Gareth Southgate in disguise. Imagine that. Actual England fans criticising or hating on Gareth Southgate. The mind boggles. But this is the squad that Thomas Tuchel has picked, and yes, it is fair to say, I will hold my hands up, there are some surprises. There are some very big surprises actually in this squad, but they're not the disaster that I think people are thinking, or the ridiculous choices that I believe some of the fan base are believing that these choices are. Look, it's a clear reflection. We've said this, we all know it. The FA have even come out and said it black and white. Thomas Tuchel is here to win the World Cup. That is it. He is not bothered about 2, 3, 4, 5 years' time. He does not care. He has a mandate to win the World Cup. That is it. That is what he's here to do. And that means, and rightly so, when he said this in his press conference, he's going to be calling on experience and youth. Lewis Skelly and Dan Burn, first off, congratulations to those guys getting the debut. Both at very different parts of the career, but both fully deserving their call-up. But the biggest talking point by far has been Jordan Henderson's inclusion in this squad. I think, rightly, probably Conor Gallagher should have been there. Maybe that's an argument. He could have been a player who comes in instead. I don't disagree with Thomas Tuchel, though, in picking experience. If you look at the England squads of the past, and particularly if you're looking to go and win a World Cup, Harry Maguire's out, John Stones are out. There's a lot of experienced players. There's a lot of injuries as well that have had an impact on this squad, but there's a lot of experience missing, and even when they're all fully fit, Kyle Walker's another one that people didn't want included, but you can't literally just have a team full of 21, 22-year-olds.
You can't win anything with kids.
And you certainly can't have that sort of squad going into a World Cup and expecting to win it, so he knows he's got to balance it out. If everybody's fully fit, does Jordan Henderson stay in this squad? I don't know, but I understand the reasons why he has been picked. I mean, the way people are reacting as if he's recalled up Gareth Batty or something. I think we've also got to remember, looking at this, the under-21 squad has been announced at the same time. We all need to remind ourselves that England this summer have a tournament, the under-21s tournament, the Euros that is, this summer, and we are defending champions. And I just feel like the FA have done this right. They're prioritising possibly putting the or the strongest possible under-21 squad out we can in preparation for that summer tournament for us to retain that title. So when you look at it in that context as well, people like Adam Wharton dropping down to the under-21 team it's not a bad choice. It really isn't. He has 6 camps. That is it. 6 camps, and I think he said 30 days, 60 days or something ridiculous. He has no time at all to be worrying about players such as Adam Wharton or players that aren't established internationals. He hasn't got the time or the mandate from the FA to be worrying about bringing those sorts of players through. It is not to say that I don't think Adam Wharton may or may not deserve a call-up above Jordan Henderson, but I can completely understand why he's not being called up. Adam Wharton has started 2 games since October, but the way people are talking about it is as if Adam Wharton's some sort of Modric baller in the background that is completely dismissing, and that isn't the case at all here. The other big talking point, obviously, is Rashford's inclusion, and I think he's there because of injury. It's as simple as that. There's a lot of players out injured. Bukayo Saka, for instance, the screaming omission from this because of injury would come straight back into this squad. No doubts at all. Jack Grealish hasn't been picked. I think the one player that people should be getting probably more angry about because he's been included, and that's Phil Foden. I mean, he hasn't completely not earned his place in this squad, but he is there nevertheless, and you understand why he's there, but he certainly hasn't earned it. I will say probably one of the most interesting things that nobody's talking about is that he's picked 4 goalkeepers. So we were looking at this squad thinking, is it going to give us an indication in terms of what he's going to want to play at the World Cup? I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but he's certainly not going to play 2 goalkeepers in there, is he? So it's quite an interesting theory to pick 4, but I suppose he just wants to have a look at all 4 of them, and why not? A lot of injuries are in place. Now is the time to have a look at more goalkeepers if he feels like that is something he needs to do. If you have listened to Thomas Tuchel's press conference, though, it is 21 minutes long, so I don't blame you if you haven't, but he was asked about what style of play he wants England to play, what system, how he wants England to set up, and he basically come out and said, I want to mirror the Premier League, or the pros and the positives about the Premier League, and he talked about an English style and us not wanting to copy something on the continent or feel like that everything else everywhere else is better than what we can produce. And he spoke about the physicality of the Premier League in particular and English football, and that's what he wants to bring to this squad. He mentioned it a couple of times. The physicality of the English game is something he really wants this squad to be about. I'm going to mention some other players there because there's a lot of players that, because of the headlines of Jordan Henderson, haven't really had a mention. I think definitely Konza coming back in, great stuff. Kwanzaa as well, getting a call up. It'd be interesting to see if he gets some games because that centre-back position I still believe is wide open. Livramento as well, keeping his place in the squad, brilliant for him. Eze, I was a little bit surprised Eze was called up, if I'm honest with you, but I'm glad he's there. I really rate him. Rodgers, of course, as well, having a fantastic season at Villa. Well-deserved call-up. Jared Bowen, well-deserved call-up as well. Anthony Gordon, arguably one of the best English, most consistent players in the Premier League this season. I'm looking at some of the players that aren't included. Madueke, Lewis Hall, who would have been an absolute stuck-on for this. Stones, Maguire, Trent, Saka. There's a lot of people there that he felt like he couldn't quite pick. He also mentioned Ben White, and he's just coming back from injury, and it seems like Ben White is now welcome and open back for selection. You know my thoughts on that, but it seems like had he have been fit, Ben White would have probably been picked in this squad as well. This isn't a squad that I think Tuchel is anywhere near close to taking to the World Cup because injuries have played a huge part in this. And I think the reason why it's had such a bad reaction is because people are quite disappointed a bit. I don't know what people were expecting. I think they were expecting something quite dramatic and really impactful, but maybe Morgan Gibbs-White is probably someone who can feel quite aggrieved that he hasn't been included. But overall, look, we're playing Albania and Latvia. There shouldn't be anything to us to worry about hugely going into these two fixtures, but I think ultimately this is a strong squad, but it ultimately does set his path for the World Cup. He is going to pick experienced players who some of us may feel shouldn't be in the squad, but he's spoken about getting that balance right, and that is because he is a different appointment. This would have been a really odd squad for Gareth Southgate and Lee Carsley because they were always continuously looking to the future, establishing himself for not only the next tournament but the tournament after. That is not Thomas Tuchel's mandate. His mandate is to win the World Cup. So this squad makes much more sense than what it would have done for either of those two managers previously. But overall, I'm happy with it. I think people need to chill out. This is a prime example of the problem with England and England managers and us as a fan base. The reaction has been completely over the top. Let's get behind him. Let's get behind Thomas Tuchel. Let's see what he can do. He knows these players a damn sight better than what we know them, and he knows what he wants to do. He's in the job. Let's just support him to do it. He's got 18 months to do it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree with the squad? Do you absolutely hate it? Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all on my next video.